Yeah, we are live. Welcome to the Nancy True live stream. Deborah, hello. It's so
Hello,
good to.
Nancy. I am so thrilled that I am doing my very first LinkedIn Live with you. I love what
Yes,
we just dialed in the last 10 minutes. That was
I
so great. I'm
know.
all
It's
pumped now.
and it's really, really fitting for today's topic, which is about the opposite of perfectionism. This is us modeling
The opposite of
the
perfectionism.
opposite of perfectionism.
Exactly. In fact, can we just start there? Can I just share a few things about
Please,
all everything
yes.
that just happened? So, when we talk about like the opposite of perfectionism, the opposite of perfectionism is a great label for the net result of what happens when we engage those parts of us that we would put under that umbrella label of perfectionist, right? The never enough, never done, not ready, not prepared, need to get it more dialed in. And this applies in particular ways to our audience here today, left brain dominant, especially masculine, not necessarily male, but right, like masculine, achieve the goal, take the steps, do the thing, right? Linear, logical, solve problems, fix it, right? And we get into these spaces over years and years, decades of our lives, emphasizing what works and what doesn't in particular frames with particular narratives that ultimately lead us to I can't do that. I have to do that. This is how it has to be. This is how it can't be. And we run our lives through these filters and prisms. And when we think of ourselves as, oh, I'm a perfectionist, like I strive for excellence, I'm going for high standards, I care about it being great, I care about getting it right. These are such great looking, great sounding stories and narratives. Who can argue with you want it to be great? Who can argue with you want to get it right? But what's actually happening is that pieces of our nervous systems, our subconscious programming, the structures at work that we're not even consciously aware of, much less can address or fix on demand, are saying, oh, hell no. You're not doing that. That's dangerous. That shit could kill you. Run. Sorry, are we cursing on this live or is that not a
It's
good thing?
it's I think it's kosher. It's all
It's
good.
kosher. I love it.
Why do
So
we feel like we might not survive when we're not
Right. Thank you. Great question. So, and I promise, I always want to get back to what I promise I'll say. So I will share what we were doing in that last 10 minutes. Why do we feel like it's going to kill us? Because the decisions that lead us to those functions, the decisions that create those neural pathways that get embedded and reinforced year after year after year, were formed when we were anywhere from in utero to like age 12, when our neural functions are nothing like what they are as adults. Our prefrontal cortex is barely there. We're making these gigantically emotional, cataclysmic decisions about life, the world, our people, and ourselves because mom left us in the crib 20 minutes too long with a dirty diaper. And we go, the world is unsafe. I will be alone and die. Right. And it's like we have these very limited frames, but our brains are codifying these enormous decisions and beliefs about life. And even though we might be 35 years old in a boardroom or sitting in an interview and being completely intellectually prepared with all the experience on the planet to crush it, some part of us, and it could be anything. That's the thing you want to know. It is arbitrary, it is non-linear, it is completely illogical.
what's an example of anything?
Somebody could be, I was about to say, somebody could be wearing a particular color of shirt.
Hmm,
Somebody could say some phrase that's just one of their little catchphrases, and it's something someone in your life used to say.
yeah.
Someone could have a particular hairstyle or smell like something,
Or a
right?
certain
And it,
look.
what?
A certain look. They look at you
Exactly,
a certain way.
exactly, exactly. And then all of a sudden it's like, and now I'm activated, or triggered is
Yeah.
like one of the cliche words, but I like to say activated
Mhm.
into a state where it's, I'm unsafe, or this is not safe, or that person is not safe, or don't speak, right? And we go into
Or
some
I'm
sort of,
not doing a good job, or I'm
I'm
failing
not
this
doing it.
interview already.
Right, exactly, exactly. I mean, I'm going to the extremes of
Yeah.
it, but how it'll show up for you is if you're not aware that there is a nervous system activation going on, if you're not aware that your little inner 3-year-old is in the driver's seat, you will have the circumstances dictate your reality. You will go, wow, I don't know, that person, they don't like me. They are not into me. I am screwing this up. And you make it all about this current moment circumstance. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with that other person. It has nothing to do with the room
Right.
you're in, has nothing to do with how you're doing. And it definitely has nothing to do with your talent, your prospects, or your reason for being there, or reason for being in general. But you're in a space in your own, it's like the water you're swimming in, you can't see it, where
Mhm.
it's, and you're in one of these like fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or fold. We know
Yeah.
fight, flight, freeze, but fawn and fold are also really important ones to know about that show up in professional environments like what we're talking about. So all of that, we'll park that for 1 second to say at about, about an hour before we were going on today, I was like, hey, how do I join? Right? And now
Yes.
I'm a recovering perfectionist, right? All that shit that I just described is 100% alive, well, and kicking in my system. But and like I say, we don't go to the opposite of perfectionism as much as we get into right relationship with
Yeah.
those parts of us that are creating that lived experience, and we get to create a different lived experience. So I have a lot of experience and skill with this now, having done this for some time, and I was able to, when you said, hey, by the way, you can stream to like all your channels, and I was like, okay, right. And an older part of me, or a younger part of me really,
Mm.
would have said, oh my god, I need hours to figure it all out. And I'm a very tech savvy person. Like, I made my living as a music technical designer for many years on Broadway with Jersey Boys
We need to
specifically.
talk about that at some point.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So like I do some very deep tech when it comes to music production and, really esoteric particular forms of tech, but I'm just generally, tech savvy, I would say,
Mhm.
not, tech masterful the way your audience is, but I mean, I'm not a coder or anything, but I can program at a certain level. So I would have been like, oh, I need to investigate everything. I need to
Mhm.
make sure it's perfect. I need to like, and my makeup would have melted. My hair would have fallen. I would have been like, just like tissues everywhere, complete flop sweat, just at the prospect of needing to also go live on Instagram and my LinkedIn channel and Facebook at the same time.
Right, because I didn't
But
tell you that in advance.
no, you didn't tell me.
Yeah, I didn't
That's
tell you
actually,
any of that.
and it's so perfect that you didn't, right? Because it was like, okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to go one step at a time to see what's possible here. And the priority is go live with Nancy at 11, be ready to have a conversation. Now, be ready to have a conversation did not mean figure out all the things in advance, have all of my prepared things to say, right? Be ready to go with Nancy meant make sure my nervous system is regulated. My
Mhm.
stress is ratcheted down or not ratcheted up to a point where I'm able to be present with you, be present with myself,
Mhm.
lean into what I already know, what I don't even know that I know, but that becomes available
Yeah.
when I'm open, I'm present, I'm attuned, and I care about delivering for the people who are here to get something.
We're
And
so happy that
that's,
you're here.
oh, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who
Okay,
are you?
so who the hell is this random blue-haired lady yapping at us? Um, so I'm a career artist. I was a concert pianist in my teenage years. I moved into commercial music in my 20s. I composed music for a lot of commercials, and this was, in the 90s before there was like a lot of web music and things like that. So it was TV, movies. I worked with some famous people. I toured with some famous artists. You can find all that out at hurwitzmusic.com, which is, as I like to call it, the museum to my music career. And I wore a lot of different hats and learned a lot of different skills in order to be able to cobble together a career as a musician. So I'm an award-winning music director, film composer, electronic music designer and programmer, concert pianist, singer-songwriter, and I have an alter ego,
All the things.
Deborah Marlowe, who put out 2 records in the 90s and early aughts.
Is this when you used to be a perfectionist?
Yeah. I was absolutely mired in perfectionism at that time. It took me forever to get anything done. I would sit down at the piano to write whatever the song or the track or the assignment or the whatever it was. I would, play 3 notes and I would go, this is derivative horse shit. I will never write anything
This is
good
not
ever
good enough.
again.
Okay.
Not good enough.
Yeah.
Not good enough and never done. Now, when it comes to production shops, There is no end to the latest trends, the fanciest toys, the sound like this, sound like that, look like this, look like that, right? And if I wasn't using every trick in the book on every single track, I was definitely doing it wrong. I was definitely not doing enough. So this plagued me for years. There's a reason I only put out 2 records of my own in 14 years, even though I could sit down at the piano and write absolutely anything. But did it make the cut? No. I went back years later and went, well, that was really good. Why didn't I do anything with that? Oh, that captured something. That was beautiful. That could have helped someone. That would have resonated. That was a cool dance track. That was a pretty lyric, whatever it was. And I would stop myself again and again and again. Not good enough, isn't perfect, doesn't whatever, and that was reinforced by, I was going to say that was reinforced by the industry and by the nature of the industry, but that's not actually true. It was reinforced by my relationship to the industry, my beliefs about the industry and myself, how it was, how it needed to be, my extremely judgmental, extremely separating, evaluating, constantly deciding self would kick me out of the running before anybody else was involved.
Right.
Would kick my work out of the running before anybody else was involved. And one of the key pieces that I learned, and I think this will help our left brain perfectionists, especially our coders and developers in the house, and please let me know who else is here, because
Product managers.
Product managers. You're gonna need to tell me what that is. But yeah, so right? And this is something like I could totally bullshit my way through. Of course, product managers. Let's talk to product managers. And I'm sure I could say perfectly relevant things. But we want to model progress over perfection. Yeah. We want to model that I can say that to you. And some people will be like, she doesn't even know what a product manager is. Why am I here? And yet, if you hang out, you'll get something that will help you if what's going on for you is you're procrastinating, you're mired in overwhelm, perfectionism, or self-doubt, and you want to get to the other side of it. Because that has nothing to do with your job description.
High achieving.
Yeah.
We see ourselves as the high achievers.
Right.
That's how we got here.
That's how we got here. Well done. Exactly. So let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
That's really good. So, sorry, just to connect the dots a little bit, because I want to let you guys know the path to being here so I can answer that question with some credibility and expertise.
Perfect.
Right. So there I am being this, I want to say struggling artist. I was actually quite successful in terms of credits and titles and money and things like that. I was struggling because I was unhappy. I was struggling because while I made everything look really good on the outside, I was selling myself out on the inside, and I was burning out, and I was emptying myself out, and I was not creating or moving in ways that actually fueled my soul and actually connected my outside voice to my life force coming through me. I was just constantly checking off boxes and doing things that looked really good, and it was totally exhausting. And when I had, and I'll condense 10 years into 1 minute, when I went to do the Cirque du Soleil show that I left Jersey Boys for and came to Los Angeles to do, a giant $100 million production, and I was the music director. I was the conduit between Danny Elfman, A-list Hollywood film composer, and Cirque du Soleil, the 800-pound live performance gorilla. So, and it was my job to make the music happen in the show with a combination of musicians and pre-records. Talk about tech. That's another conversation. If people want, like in the comments or whatever, I'll tell you about the tech stack for the Cirque du Soleil shows, because it's insane.
Comment if you want to know more about that. Go ahead.
Quite a thing. And that's 12 years ago. I forgot what they're doing now. But anyway, so that show was supposed to run for 10 years, closed after 2. I went into a deep depression, midlife crisis, all sorts of stuff blowing up in my personal and professional life, and eventually got to a point where I realized I cannot keep doing it this way.
You realize doing
what I'm doing. Yeah, exactly.
How
before
did you
I actually was in the
even
hospital.
realize that?
There's so many moments I could choose. And lots of times when we do these sort of oh, here I am, I'm a coach, I'm a transformational person. I had this cataclysmic downfall and this giant awakening, and now everything's perfect and I never have a bad day. Not true. Okay. I just want to make sure that we understand these oversimplified stories. Not true. You're fine if you don't have some big giant ass breakthrough. You're fine if you don't have some moment of realization. You're fine. Life is a series of these little moments, little decisions, little actions that add up over time. So one of those moments for me was, and I'll just share vulnerably here, I was literally kneeling on my bed one night. My husband at the time was away, and things were, everything was in disarray in so many ways, personally and professionally. And I knew that I was not okay. I couldn't find my way to just even feeling remotely calm, never mind safe or happy in my
Mm.
skin, in my body, in my head, in my life, in my home. I like everything was fucked up, right? And I was like, I don't know what to do, and I'm scared, and I literally do not know what to do in this moment. And I was rocking on my knees on my
Mm.
bed back and forth, just saying, I need help, I need help, I need help. It was a level of confusion and pain that I have rarely experienced in my life. I
Is
don't
it
wish it on anybody.
powerlessness? The lack of power?
I would say lack of agency,
Okay.
lack of connection to who the hell am I? The
Mhm.
last time I had checked in with myself that deeply, I
Mm.
was like 12 years old deciding I wanted to be a grown up,
Mm.
or 18 years old deciding I was going to be a professional musician, or 22 years old deciding my big ambition was Broadway, or 28 years old deciding my big ambition was writing music for movies. Or it was like the last time I had deeply checked in with myself, I was a much younger person who
Mm.
could easily be the young cute one in the room, and whose ambition was the whole picture. And
Mhm.
here I was, having burned out the fires of those ambitions. I no longer had those same ambitions. I am and always have been a smart, proactive, go get it person, but I didn't know what the fuck I was going to get
Yeah.
or why. Like
Mm.
nothing made sense. And I felt old, fat, and ugly in myself. I
Mm.
had made mistakes I couldn't undo. And I couldn't go back in time. Like I was sort of in this like constricted place of I don't even know how to be right here, right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
in this life, in this body, in this brain. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
It was that deep a
Yeah.
crisis, right? And it wasn't the only time I'd had moments like that, but it's one that comes to mind as you ask, what was the realization?
Right.
So it was like that. And the first thing I did was go into a mentorship this was in 2015, with a relationship coach that I really love, a woman's empowerment coach. I
Mm.
was like, I need to just start by like, I gotta feel okay in my own skin. I got
Right.
to know how to be 45 instead of 25.
Right.
Like it was that simple. Like forget career things, business things, money things. It was like just me
Yeah.
being here in me.
Yeah.
And it was that basic and that deep. And I did this profound mentorship embodiment experience, and that kind of kicked me into the world of coaching and transformation. And I
Mm.
was like, this is good stuff. This is important stuff. Okay, now what? What's next? And over the
Right.
next few years, until about 2017, 2018, I was looking around for like, what am I here to do now? What is my contribution? Like, I am done being a professional musician. I really felt like I'm done.
Mm.
I'm burned out. I didn't want to make music for anybody. I don't want to make music for me. So I was like, I'm done pounding the pavements for gigs. I'm also done with a lifestyle where you're only as good as your last gig. It's feast or
Mm.
famine, right? I was like, I'm definitely unemployable, absolutely unemployable. Cannot have a boss besides me, won't do it. I refuse to be subject to the hiring and firing whims of people who mostly have their heads up their asses. We're not doing it anymore. At least that's show business. And I know it's a little bit everywhere, but especially show business. And so I
In
was like,
tech as well, I would
right?
say.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Right. Because you have people who are like super, 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 super smart in certain areas, and
Mhm.
then maybe a little unclear, let's say, about others,
A
which
little
is one
bit
of the
lost.
reasons we're
Yeah.
here. One of
Mhm.
the reasons we're here right now, right, is like we have this, we think it's discerning and, quality control, and I know what's up and I get it. We think it's that, but really there's a way in which we have certain pieces of information pass through our reticular activating system. Our brains tell us, pay attention to that, don't pay attention to that, and now I know everything. Except there are trillions of pieces of data going through
Right.
your brain all day long that you don't know, that you don't see.
Yes. Is
Right?
that a bigger part of the brain than the
Yeah.
part that yes.
Well, I don't know if it's bigger physiologically, but it is certainly dominant.
Yeah.
It is certainly more in charge than your consciousness.
Yes.
Your right. It's like your conscious consciousness, right?
Yeah.
It's certainly more in charge than what you would like in the moment. Witness the problem of overwhelm, procrastination, and perfectionism. You
Mm.
think I'd like to do the thing, but I'm not doing the thing. Why am
Right.
I not doing the thing? I should do the thing. I should be able to do the thing. The thing will only take me like an hour. Why has it been 3 weeks?
Yeah, why?
Why? Because you're like, why? Because it's not about the time it takes.
Yeah.
And if we have time, I forgot to ask you how long we're actually intending to go here, but
About an hour.
about an hour. Okay, great. Oh, you have lots of time. All right, good. I'm like, you say I got to do this shit in 20 minutes. All right. So, so there's a difference between Kronos time and Kairos time, and I'll get to that in a second. So it's not about how much on the grid, on the calendar time it takes, on the clock time it takes. It's about the experience you're having while doing it, and
Yeah.
especially if it's procrastination, the experience you're having while thinking about it. So it's not
Mm.
about this should only take me a half an hour. Why haven't I had all Friday afternoon. I slammed 1 to 5. I sorted that out. I got
I
it. I'm gonna
blocked
do
my
it. I
calendar,
blocked my calendar.
and
That's what,
yet
you know what? Pop up the QR code because that training is exactly what this is for,
oh my
right?
gosh,
Like
let me bring it
calendar
up.
blocking, planning, scheduling. We get
Yeah.
everything lined up perfectly. I know exactly how this week is going to roll out. I'm going to get that thing done and that thing done and that thing done. I'm going to crush it and hit all my goals. And then like we get to Saturday and we're like, well, that week just didn't happen at all, did it? Okay, let's try again on Monday, right?
Yeah.
And this video addresses that with just one of the 3 secrets that we hit in the video. I'm very excited about this video because it's brand freaking new. I literally just launched it on Wednesday.
Tell
So
us more about what you mean by without needing to fix your habits. What
exactly.
does that mean?
So yeah, so I say fix in oh, someone's getting the QR.
Yes.
Fascinating. I love this platform of yours. I'm gonna like hype restream for you. So fix is in quotes because it's not like these things aren't going to change. It's not like these things are not going to go in a direction you would like. Like if you want a habit to go from here to here, if you want to open up your schedule or see something different on the calendar, if you want to feel better, have something that feels like a more confident mindset instead of a mindset riddled with self-doubt. It's not like those things aren't going to happen. But the fixing is part of the problem. We think I need to change from the bad habit to the good habit in order to get the thing done. We think I need to feel confident, inspired, or in the mood before I can tackle those creative projects or my CV or my book or my movie or whatever the business plan is, right? Or we think we need to fix the impossible schedule. I need to have big blocks of unstructured time so I can get that big thing done. Again, it's not about the actual time. It's about your relationship to it, what you're telling yourself, thinking and feeling while doing the thing or while thinking about doing the thing. We
Yeah.
think this is high stakes. I'm coming back to answer your question now about why the hell do we do it. We think it's high stakes. It matters to us.
It
The
matters,
more
yes.
something matters to you, the more nervous system activation is going to get kicked up because if
Yeah.
you're a high achiever, you associate your work with your worth.
Yes.
I'm only as good as my last gig. I'm only as
Yes.
good as my accomplishments. I'm only as good as my resume, my paycheck, my
Yes.
house, my car.
Yes.
And when
My
that is
title,
threatened,
the company that I work for,
that's it.
my
That's it.
compensation, all of
That's
it.
exactly. And I see it. I mean, it's there with my clients, right? Of like the jobs they're going for. I'm like,
Mhm.
God bless, never in a million years for me. That's why you're there and I'm here and we're doing what we're doing, right? And it's
Right?
perfect. It's beautiful. But yes, absolutely. And I'm totally a prestige whore. I was like, I got back in college, I got a full ride to Northwestern's School of Music, which is one of the top music schools in the country.
Mhm.
And they gave me their most prestigious scholarship. And they gave me like, they rolled out the red carpet. And it was
Yeah.
like, if I wanted to actually have a high quality liberal arts artistic launch, this was it. But I also got into Princeton early and I was like, bye, I'm going Ivy.
Okay.
And I carry that proudly because it no longer runs the show for me.
Mm.
It's just one of those fun things about me I get to own. Yeah, I'm a prestige whore. Deal with it. Right? I like that I drive a Mercedes. I like that I live in Playa del Rey. I like that I have a beach view. Yeah. Does it define me? Does it define my worth as a person? Hell no. It makes
Mm.
things easier. It opens doors. It's fun. That's it. Right?
Right.
And it's like when I'm now in the space of this matters to me, instead of having that wall of nervous system activation kick up and have me do anything but the thing that will get me there, like I will clean toilets to avoid writing songs was my battle cry for years.
I've been there too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like next time, you guys, next time you're like noticing that you're washing the dishes when you didn't mean to be washing the dishes, consider what you meant to do before your mind went offline and sent you to the kitchen.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Those choice points are the choice points that matter. Not, I'm going to have some big change and I'm going to suddenly work for 5 hours on a thing I haven't touched in months
Yeah.
or ever.
For me,
It's
it's
the
vacuuming. I start vacuuming, it's like, it's because I'm trying to avoid this other thing.
Exactly. And sometimes you like wake up in the middle of that and go, why am I here doing this? What
Yeah.
happened? Right? So, why we do this, why we avoid, procrastinate, defer. And by the way, it's not always flight. Even though we might be moving away from a thing we mean to do towards another thing, the fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and fold responses can look the same in terms of behavior, but the process in your body and your
Mhm.
mind is very different, and it's worth knowing the difference so that you can address it with these little choices and little moments. So why we do the procrastinating is the more something means to us,
Mm.
the harder we will work to avoid failure.
Yes. So to answer this question, why do
Yes.
so many people have deep habits of procrastination and perfectionism?
Right. So it's a double-edged sword. The good news is you're really in touch with what matters to you. Count that
Mm.
as a win. You
Mm.
know what you want. Count that as a win. You have goals and ambitions. Count that as a win. You care about excellence. You're striving for greatness. All wins.
We have
Now you want
growth mindset. That's what growth mindset teaches us to
exactly,
do.
exactly. I'm not just going to stay still. I'm not going to stagnate. I'm looking
Mhm.
for that next thing. And we get to follow the breadcrumbs of our curiosity and our desire. But what often happens is we go with what's worldly acceptable.
Yeah.
Plant the flag on the top of the mountain. And this is where I say masculine again, not male, but the masculine, like in the yin yang,
Yeah.
right? The yang of worldly achievement, visible hierarchical
Yeah.
structures of this is better and this is worse,
Yeah.
versus in the yin and the feminine, which we all have, that fertile yin void of creation, which is dark and uncertain and not public and not good looking.
Internal.
Oh,
Yeah.
internal, absolutely. And sometimes external, but also just at a deeper morass level. It's
Mm.
not immediately clear that it's a cool accomplishment, right? It's not immediately clear that it's a KPI or a metric of success
Yeah.
that's universally understandable
Yeah.
in at least in the Western world, right? Or in the capitalist world. So when something really matters to us, we think go for the metric of success that everybody understands. And
Yes.
it looks like, publish, make money, get the gig, whatever it is, right? But instead, you want to feel into why does this actually matter to me? What
Mm.
will having that do for me? And with the never ending moving goalposts of perfectionism where it's never enough, never done,
Yeah.
how will I know when I have it? We sometimes get to see what our brain is doing to us in the never enough, never done moving goalposts. When we think, when I just have, when I do, then I will feel,
Yes.
then
When
I
I
will
get
relax,
the
then I
next
will be
promotion, I'll feel better about
right. And
myself.
then you get the promotion, and what happens? You're itching for what's
Yeah.
next. You are
Yeah.
nowhere
Exactly.
near done because the same mechanism that had you go for that is not just fucking leaving the building now,
Yeah.
right? I used to wonder, why the hell am I depressed after I get these big accomplishments, big wins? Because I need the next thing to work on. And when I don't have it, I feel deflated. I
Yes.
feel scared. I feel unmoored, right? Can anybody relate to that? Do we have a
Well,
chat that
also
people
because
can?
we see
Yeah,
other people around us 5, 10 steps ahead. Like, we
right.
want what that person has.
We want what we think that person
Oh,
has.
yes. Love it.
Right? We compare other people's outsides to our insides all the time. That person 5, 10 steps ahead, 10 steps ahead of you may logistically have what you think you want.
Yeah.
The house, the location, the job, the paycheck, whatever it is, the team, the wife, the husband, whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? But you have no fucking idea what's going on their insides.
Yeah.
Zero. They may be in way worse shape than you and you want none of that. They often
Mm.
are, right? So it's what you think they have, and that's worth inquiring about.
Mm.
It's not, and have the informational interviews. Take them to coffee. Get into mentorship. By all means, do it. Take those actions to find out what you feel, what you know, what you want to do. Take action so you can get data on the action and then go from there. Instead of taking 3 years to admire someone from afar, Take 30
Mhm.
seconds of courage to ask them for coffee or ask them for a 15-minute Zoom. Come up with one question that could solve a problem for them or ease something for them or just make them feel good. Like, hey, I'm noticing you. I admire you. I respect you. Can I
Mm.
ask you a couple questions? Right? Can I take you to Starbucks? Can I give you a Starbucks gift card and when we get on a Zoom? Right?
But
Like, whatever.
still take action.
Still take action,
Mm.
but small,
Yeah.
tiny action in the direction of what you would like without needing to know how it's all going to turn out, how it's all
Mm.
going to work, or whether you are meant for that career, that life, that person's
Yes.
job.
Yes.
Just to follow, as I said, the breadcrumbs of your curiosity and desire. And
Mm.
then you get together with that person and then you find out what you find out. You find out a little bit more about the job. You
Right.
find out a little bit more about them. And then you're like, ooh, I want more of that. Ooh, I don't like that. And then you
Mhm.
iterate and course correct. You know, autopilot in the air is off course 97% of the time. It's
Mm.
not that autopilot sends you autopilot goes ups, oh no, oh, right? That's what autopilot is. That's what navigation is. You got to
Mm.
head in a direction so you see where you're going.
Right.
GPS only works when you know where you are.
Right.
And so much of the time, we don't actually know where we are with respect to our goals and our desires because we're telling ourselves what it has to be because we're
How do we
perfectionists.
know where we are?
So we know it's a great question. So I'm not surprised, Nancy, that you're asking great questions.
Okay.
That's like, yes. Exactly. Good
Good job, me.
girl. How do we know where we are? So those two pieces, let me just drill down a little bit on breadcrumbs of curiosity and desire and taking small actions. So when we were talking about yin and yang, right? The yin void of creation, the
I
uncertainty,
wanna
the
write that
things
down because I love the way you said breadcrumb of desire and
following the breadcrumbs of your curiosity and desire.
curiosity and desire, and I'm gonna put it up on the screen.
Awesome. And why I say that is as humans, hopefully more than one breadcrumb. So maybe make it plural.
Okay, make it plural.
We have options. Options, there are many breadcrumbs, right? Why I say curiosity and desire are these are two inherent universal human qualities.
Mm.
Just the same way that you breathe and you're not going to stop breathing as long as you're alive, and just the same way like you need food and water, right? There are certain physiological human needs that you have as a being in a body. And as a being with a brain running a body,
Yeah.
you have curiosity and you have desire. That's just what it is. Whatever you believe about soul, about God, about higher destiny and consciousness and blah, 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 and the universe, capital U or not, doesn't matter what you believe. The
Yeah.
same way you need food and water, the same way you need sleep, you have desires. You
Okay.
just do. Now, what you do with them, how you relate to them,
Mm.
that's a whole shit show. That is the reason I have job security, right? But jokes aside, we are encouraged, going back to the yin yang thing, we're encouraged to go for those public, obvious, universal metrics of success. We are not encouraged, especially as women, creatives, right brain people,
Mm.
softer, slower operating people, right? Especially as that. And you can be a tech guru with a very fast left brain and still have a
Mhm.
lot of unfulfilled right brain
Yes.
desires, right? You can be a totally like masculine leading, get shit done person, I am, and still have a lot of yielding,
Yes.
magnetizing, yummy, sensual pieces
Yes.
of you that are not seeing the light of day,
Mhm.
right? So we're taught that our curiosity gets us in trouble, and we're taught that our desire is wrong and dangerous
Mm.
all day long, all our lives. You got to proactively choose other than that. Now, at the same time, and this is a real mind fuck, the dopamine addictions that we have and the
Yeah.
dopamine receptors that are best utilized in the realm of curiosity and desire
Mm.
have been hijacked again and again and again
Mm.
by the combination of capitalism and technology. And I will leave it there. It is not bad and it is not wrong. It just is.
Mm.
As we know, billions of dollars are being spent to ensure that our attention goes where certain people say we want it to go. And when I say certain people, I just mean anybody who's paying the money, right?
Yeah.
Advertisers, like
Mhm.
that's the commerce of it, right? We are in an attention economy. If you are not paying for the product, you are the product, and that's just how it is. It's not good or bad. It's not something to
Right.
rail against. because unless you're in a world where you have some operational knowledge there and some power there, and that's great. And there might be people who are watching this who are maybe getting some ideas about where they want to go with that. But that's not what this conversation is about. This conversation is about the individual person, you, you, Nancy, me, Deborah, everybody who wants to do something else with their time and attention than what's happening, which when you're procrastinating is true, right? And so if you want to do this instead of that, you must absolutely take charge of your attention. We don't control circumstances. We don't control other people. We don't control the economy. We don't control, well, to whatever extent we vote with our wallets and everything, right?
I had this question prepared for you. You
Yes,
mentioned
exactly.
attention, not time, needs to be free.
Exactly. Great. Okay. So just coming back to the point here, when we proactively choose to pay attention to what we want, our desires, what our bodies are telling us we want. There's so much body wisdom, somatic wisdom that we ignore because perfectionists, we think we only exist above the neck.
Well,
we have to remember
taught to pay attention to those things.
Exactly. So yeah, so we're teaching you now.
Yes, now.
Right? It's never too late.
Up.
As long as you breathe and you ain't done. Okay, sorry, what were you saying?
Can you elaborate on some of these techniques?
Yes. Okay, right. Question on the screen. Yes. So I mentioned that tension, not time, needs to be freed. Can you elaborate on specific techniques you use to help clients manage their attention more effectively? Absolutely, yes. So, I mean, there are so many. Where do we start? Okay, so it's gonna sound a little cliche and trite, you guys, but I apologize for how cliche and trite. I apologize for how annoying it's going to be for you to hear what I'm about to say.
I want to hear everything.
And I promise it is the most effective way to get started.
Tell me.
And the most effective way to get started is stop.
Stop what?
Everything. Stop moving.
Okay.
Stop doing whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Stop following your fretful automatic default thoughts and ruminations and obsessions and worries.
Yeah.
Stop all the default shit that's happening that you're not paying attention to, that's ratcheting up your stress in your nervous system and creating all sorts of emotional and physiological havoc. And take a deep breath and put both hands on your heart, or one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. As you inhale, roll your shoulders up, like they're hanging from your ears, and then drop them slowly down the back. Imagine that actually your shoulder blades are coming down over your back ribs, all the way back, even as you stretch your chin up, and then as you exhale all the way, bring everything in. Ribs down, shoulders forward, chin down. Exhale all the way. Rub your tummy a little bit. Rub your heart a little bit. Remind yourself, I am here too. I am down here. I am down here. I am in my fingers and toes.
I'm not just here.
Exactly. I don't just exist below the neck. I am going to notice the sensations in my body. Our sensations tell us a tremendous amount about what's going on. Like, you might not know that you are fucking furious about something right now. But when you start to pay attention to what's going on in your body, you might notice that there is heat and tension. You might notice that there's something going on here and something going on here. And you might notice that the energy is a little tight and constricted and hot. Okay. And when you start to learn the physiology of your emotions and then you tune into your body, you don't need the narrative. You don't need the circumstances. You don't need to know what's happening today or what that person thinks. You just need to know what's going on within you. And then you go, oh, crap, I'm really mad.
And then what?
You go, okay. And then we have a practice, a skill set. And this is not all going to happen today, you guys. I would love to give you like nervous system regulation 101, 201, 408, and, you know, masters today.
PhD level.
But if you, she's like, fuck that, I want the PhD. I love that you did that. Yes, exactly. It's never enough, never done. And after the PhD, it's the postdoc. And after that, right? So, yeah. So I work with academics and I know this is that whole world, right? So these are initial steps. And I offer you trust that if you take these initial steps, annoyingly simple though they may be.
Why is it so annoying?
Well, okay, I'm speaking for myself here, and I'm probably speaking for some perfectionist brains in the audience. It's annoying because we are so smart. We have such elevated skills of critical thinking and discernment and snap awareness and wit and thinking on our feet,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, right? Immediate problem solving. It takes the rest of the world like 20 minutes to do what we've got in 30 seconds.
Mm.
And we love those skills. We like them. They're
Yeah.
valuable. They get us paid. They get us high on life, right? Like we
Yes.
like those skills. And we want to be smarter than our pain,
Mm.
but we cannot be. The nervous system, the primal brain, the body, they don't operate only with the left brain. They don't operate linear, logical, calculatable.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't make a lot of logical sense that your really terrified 3-year-old is in the driver's seat of your life when you're sitting in the most important interview of the last decade.
Oh my
It's
God.
not super logical. It's definitely not useful. And
Yeah.
it's not solvable by the same mechanisms that you solve logical problems. So it's annoying to be confronted with the really uncomfortable, icky, sticky, tricky fact that your feelings will not be controlled by what you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the knowing that creates the experience you actually want happens at a much deeper level, where it's mostly nonverbal, it's certainly non-numerical, and it's experiential. This takes me back to Kairos and Kronos time. So when I say it's attention, not time, I'm really saying it's Kairos, not Kronos. So Kronos time is what we know as time. It's on the grid, minutes, seconds, hours, calendar, clock, etc. The passage of time. And we will not get into an entire quantum physics discussion right now, and I'm sure there are people here who could talk circles around me on that, and we can have that conversation later. But briefly, broad strokes, top level, Kronos is the time we know and discuss when we talk about time, units of time, passage of time. Kairos time is not about the minutes and hours, it's experiential. And you know that Kairos time exists in your lived experience when you notice, for example, you think you've been working on something for 15 minutes and 2 hours have passed.
Yeah.
Or you think, my God, this is a slog. I want to die. It's been hours and it's been 10 minutes.
Right.
You have Kairos experience, Kairos time experience, when you have a conversation or an interaction, an experience, an awakening, an aha, an orgasm, whatever it is, that absolutely changes the fabric of your existence. And
That's why sometimes time feels like an illusion.
it absolutely does.
Right.
Kairos time is experiential time. It is nonlinear, non-logical. We're trying to make Kronos time work when we say, it'll only take me an hour. Why haven't I done it for 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Because what's actually happening is you're in the Kairos experience of, this is gigantic. This is so big. This is too much. This is everything. Right? When you're bringing that kind of emotional charge to it, it doesn't matter minutes and hours.
Yeah.
It matters scope. It matters intensity. It's the experiential level of it. And you will go nowhere near it as long as you think you might fail and your failure equals you no longer deserve to exist on the planet. And it is literally that life or death to your nervous system, to those parts of your brain that are very young, very simple, right? This is why the simple stuff works. And it is annoying that it is. I do not want to sit here and think that at any moment I could be age regressed to 6 and do really dumb shit. I really don't. It's not fun.
We don't want to admit it.
But that is how it works.
Right. I'm so glad that you're putting words to describe what actually is happening.
Yes, exactly. So specific techniques. We start by stopping. And this is also in the video, by the way. Grab the video. Do the thing.
I'm going to bring up the QR code again. Thank you to the 4 people who have scanned the QR code so far. If you haven't yet, take a look.
Yeah, scan the freaking QR code. And this recording goes up, right? We get a recording.
Yes. Okay. Automatically.
Fantastic. I love that. Yes. Oh, so just to circle back. Okay, so I'm going to answer your question by circling back to where we were 10 minutes before. So 10 minutes before we went live, I did not have a Restream account, which is the platform we're on now. I had a bunch of help pages up on how to connect Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. And by the way, hi,
analytical mind
on LinkedIn and Instagram.
Yeah, your analytical mind says, "Oh, I need to look up. I need to Google how to do this."
Right. I got it. And I just full disclosure, I have a social media manager and I love her. And I texted her and I was like, so apparently we can, and she like throws up these 3 help articles and says, go. right? Because she knows who I am, and that we can be fine with that, right? But she found those articles for me. She saved me probably 5 minutes, which was very important when we only had 10
Oh,
total,
yes.
right? And then we're here at like what, quarter of 10 of or whatever, and we literally just one step at a time. And it was like, oh, I need to do this. Oh, that means I need to get out of this and go here. Oh, that means I need to do this. Okay, let me copy this. Let me paste this over here. Oh, wait. And then you're like, oh, wait, I need to go out and come back. Oh, wait, can you go get over here? Right. So it was, if you look at the sum total of what, yay, somebody scanned. If you look at the sum total of what we did in 10 minutes to get Nancy's channel up where it needed to be and get me streaming on 3
To get
channels
this
of mine at
QR
the
code
same
up for
time,
you all.
get the QR code, get the right titles. If you look at what we did in order to get all of that happening by our start time, and now I see your video froze, so I'm like, uh-oh, did we just go one step too far?
No, we're
Right?
fine.
No, we're good. Yeah, and you would, if I had looked at the list, right, of like the micro tasks of everything that we did in 10 minutes, it would have felt overwhelming. And that is what we load up at the prospect of doing a new, unfamiliar, and important thing.
Yes.
It's what we load up is, oh my God, it's so much, it's too much. And we load up that nervous system response. So instead, and I was doing this, you guys, every second, and I'll even go back from before I got on with Nancy. I had some personal stuff going on this morning where I was like, somebody had disappointed me, and I was feeling like a little disappointed. I was a little like left out in the cold. I was a little, nobody loves me, right? I was like kicking up all that stuff.
Right.
And by the way, lots of people love me and it's all great. But in that moment, my little one was online with the, somebody left me in a crib too long and I'm cold and alone and I'm going to die here. Right. That's like the lived experience. And I go to my body to feel into the physiology of that. Do not discount or underestimate the power of you simply tuning in to what's happening below the neck. So powerful. So, and I have the physical memory, right? I was like taking my coffee cup and I was like, okay, time to get ready. And I was like, and I was feeling extra jacked up about this. Like I've done a million interviews. I love winging it. I trust myself now. I love
You
modeling
told me
progress
you
over
wanted to wing
perfection.
this.
Totally. Nancy, by the way, she's got like the whole document. I'm like, this is a 4-hour workshop. We should do this workshop, but also, you know, like whatever. So, and works out fine, right? So but it was like, okay, time to get ready. And like I said earlier, most important that I'm present, that my stress is down. But I was feeling kind of ratcheted up and I was spinning on the disappointment. I was spinning on, well, what about this? And maybe I can do this and why this and da da da. And I went, oh right. I have some jacked up nerves. Like this thing activated something in me that is that global, I'm scared, I'm cold and alone, nobody loves me, it's all going to go to hell in a handbasket, right? I loaded up that stuff and now everything is going through the filter of that stuff. Now I'm spinning out on a circumstance or a person or something in my day on October 18th, 2024 that's really a function of a very, very, very old, 40 years earlier situation. It doesn't really have to do about the circumstance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get present to myself. I'm going to remember I exist below the neck. I'm going to check in with my body. I'm going to stop and
You're going to
exhale.
remind yourself you're still alive.
I am safe to breathe. I may not be safe. Now, for perfectionists, we think of all the ways we're not safe, right? So I may not be safe, like all the bills are paid or everything is amazing, right? Like, I don't know what I'm, there'll be some circumstance, whether it's financial, emotional, romantic, familial, whatever.
Something is always off. Yes.
Something is always off, right? Something is about to go terribly wrong or already has, whatever. So it's not, oh, I'm safe, like, la, 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 everything's amazing. No, it's, I'm safe to breathe right now. I am safe to breathe right now. I'm safe to put my hand on my heart right now. I'm safe to check in. Ah, right. Okay, I got it. Fear. This is fear. Okay. And actually, I'm fine. And actually, this is all very manageable and very doable. And I actually want this. I actually want to do my first LinkedIn Live. I actually want to check out new platforms. I actually want to have a conversation with Nancy and talk to her people and get into this whole world of left brain techies. I actually want all of that. So I'm going to just refill my coffee and make it mostly ginger tea. I do this combo of coffee and ginger tea depending on how much caffeine I want because it's delicious. So I'm going to like have more ginger than caffeine right now. And I'm going to roll my shoulders back and exhale all the way. I'm going to remind myself that I'm safe to breathe. I'm going to remind myself, follow the breadcrumbs of my desire and curiosity to acknowledge what I want and then take just one step forward towards that. I'm going to let go of that personal circumstance for the time being. It will be right there when I want to come back and pick it up, if I do want to come back and pick it up. And right now, I'm just going to go and take that first step towards finding out how the fuck do I do this on Instagram.
And we figured it out.
And we figured it all out. And we
Yes.
were ready at 10:59, bitches.
We went live and technology is on our side.
Shh, toy, toy.
For now.
Yeah. So, my gosh. Whew.
Well, this is
What else
an
you got?
example where 50 minutes have gone by and it's like, wait, that was 50 minutes? What?
Yeah, and we're
How
talking about big stuff.
Yes, how in the world did we just riff well, mostly you, for 50 minutes? We didn't plan this. I mean, I had some questions for Deborah. I
Yeah.
had maybe 10 questions.
Yeah.
And then Deborah said, "I got this, girl." I'm like, "Okay. Yeah, we got this."
Well, I loved your questions, as I said, and I, as soon as I saw the questions, and I was like, these are giant questions, and
Yes,
no problem. We're going to orient towards what they can do in the moment,
yes.
right? And so as soon as I had that sort of general mantle on of like, what can they do now? Because that's when I was in non-recovering perfectionism, and everything was so high intensity and high stakes all the time, and I felt so bad all the time when I was in that place. And I hope you're not there, but you're somewhere in the spectrum there between everything's amazing and everything's terrible. I was desperate for actions I could take in that moment,
Yeah,
right? It was like all the mindset training and the la 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 visionary. I was like, fine, but what do I do right now? Like, I'm
yeah.
stuck, I'm scared, I don't know what to do, right? It was like, tell me what to do right now. And that's where I say, like, the sort of annoying, stupid, simple thing. It does
Yes.
start with breathing. It does start with coming to presence in your own body and brain and nervous system, right? And breath. Because guess what? That's life coming through. There's a reason they
Mhm.
call it respiration, inspiration, right? Spear is breath, life, spirit, right? And as you breathe, you are actually affirming to all of those primal and younger parts of you, I'm alive.
I'm still
And then you
breathing.
get to check in on how you'd like to do that being alive thing.
Yes. One last question for you,
Sure.
and I think we already talked about it,
Hit me.
but I wanted to put it up again.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Breaking
boy.
free from the
Yes.
addiction to quick dopamine hits.
No, we touched upon that a little
We
bit.
did, but I
Okay.
wanna bring it back.
Yeah. Good. So I'll do like a tactical, practical piece. And also, like, I'm aware I'm talking to people who are deep, deep, deep into tech, and this might be. So just stop me if you're like, this is a little rudimentary. Can we step it up a little bit? Please do tell me. But especially people who need to be getting pings and dings all the time, right? Who are on your phones, on your devices, everything always open,
Yes.
right? Especially if you're that person, you need this. And it comes back to being proactively and consciously in charge of your attention. I'm looking right at the camera now, so I'm looking right at you.
Love
Okay.
the eye
So
contact.
you need to know that if you have everything open all the time, you are shredding your nervous system.
What does
You are
that mean?
shredding your long-term reserves for
Mhm.
stress. You are shredding your adrenals. You are teaching your body to breathe high and shallow in the chest. You are tensing up muscles and using your connective tissue, ligaments, bone density. It all gets affected. And some of that shit does not come back once it's gone. Some of that stuff is part of aging. And when I
Yes,
say aging, I mean you hit 18, you're aging,
bone
right? Like,
density. Yeah.
so I'm not just talking to the 40 and 50 somethings, I'm talking to everybody. As you are inadvertently training your body, your mind, your system, your consciousness, your neural pathways to be in a constantly chronically stressed mode. We
Which
are
is not
not
normal. We
right.
might think it's normal, but it's not.
Right. And don't wagging my finger right now. Don't kid yourself that it's about the industry you're in or the job you've got.
Yeah.
Don't kid yourself. I know people and am a person who is and has operated in very universally accepted, good-looking narrative, so cutthroat, so competitive, so
Yeah.
high stakes, so important. And it may be all of those things in demonstrable ways. We will always produce, find, and store the evidence for the beliefs that we've got, not the other way around.
Correct. Starts with the belief.
Yeah, starts with the belief. I mean, there'll be some little evidence or some little something, but like once that belief is in there, it's confirmation bias. You will
Yes.
look for, and sunk fallacy cost, all that stuff, right? Like it's all sunk cost fallacy. There we go. All of the ways that our brains work are there to avoid pleasure, avoid pain, seek pleasure, and conserve energy. And so
Mhm.
reticular activating system is on alert for, does that fit with something I already know? Does that fit with some way I already think it is? Great.
Right.
Collect that, compile that. Right? So you may have all the evidence in the world for that belief. And if that belief is serving you, God bless. Keep it. I never want to change something that's working.
Yeah.
But is it working for you to think that? Is it giving you a life you love to believe that? If not, maybe try on. I could actively, proactively, and consciously seek evidence for what I would like to believe instead of what I do believe. And I can start trying that stuff on. All right, so this is the mindset stuff, right? Is like acknowledge that how it is,
Mm.
like the it is I need the quick dopamine hit. I just can't stop myself from going on Instagram when I pick
Right.
up my phone. I know I want to write the play, make the movie, launch the business, but as soon as somebody, I have to. I can't not. I don't want to disappoint anyone. I don't want to fuck it all up, right? And that's just how it is. I can't change that. It's how I am. These are the narratives we tell ourselves. You're
Mhm.
not going to change the in the moment behavior until you're willing to take on, this is not actually how it has to be. Remember right at the
Mhm.
beginning, I was like, perfection is like, this is how it has to be, this is how it can't be. Why? Because we don't want to fail, we don't want to be wrong.
Yeah.
It is more important, not necessarily consciously, but overall more important for us to be right and look good than it is to get where we actually want to go. And that is a hard thing to get present to because we can lose years there. And it can feel really terrible to see the truth of that. But I promise you, better now than later, or not at all.
Mhm. Right.
Right? So at that top level, you're going to be able to execute the tactical, practical stuff I'm about to give you if you are willing to try on. I'm ready to seek evidence for the beliefs I want, not the beliefs I've got.
Which might be very, very different from
Might be
your
very,
current.
very different. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm also, we didn't get a chance to get into the whole subject of accountability. That's like another conversation. Maybe we can do a part 2 here, but accountability as an asset as opposed to a liability, right? For
Mhm.
perfectionists, accountability is I'm in trouble, something's wrong, I gotta. It's just super deadening at best and just really terrifying at worst. But accountability gets to be an asset and actually a really beautiful driver when we actually treat it for what it is, which is the ability to say, that is mine. That is
Mm.
mine to do. That is mine to be. That is mine to say. And I can do it. Now it's just a matter of how and when. Right. And it can be a really beautiful relationship to being held to account or being pulled forward by your future self. And we don't have time for that whole conversation now, but we can bring it in for just a little bit for the tactical, practical about the dopamine hits. So let's
Yes.
talk about the phone. So, when you pick up your phone, do you have any idea what's actually happening? When you
Clue
pick
what?
up your phone,
Hmm.
right? Like, and I have a lot of skills and practice around this, and I teach this, and I have really good structures in place, and still, I will pick up my phone and immediately forget what the fuck I picked it up for.
Oh,
And I
yes.
will go to whatever it tells me to do.
Yeah.
Now, I have a lot of, and again, if I'm talking to tech people who have this well in hand, great, but you might not because you might think I have to have all the things on all the time. It is biologically proven that the color red pulls our attention. We're designed
Mm.
to have the color red pull our attention.
I'm already looking.
Say
What is
what?
red on my screen? The
Yeah,
live
right.
button is red.
Right, exactly. There are red, like even to this day, and again, it's annoying how stupid simple it is. Like certain pricing things, I will do 9s and 7s because it's proven that we have like, yeah, I know 599 is 600. I know, but I'm still going to do 599
Yeah.
because more people will buy it that way. And it
Yeah.
just is. It just is. So I'm just dealing with it, right?
Mm.
So it's biologically proven red pulls our eye, pulls our attention, both
Mm.
sexually and survival mechanism,
Mm.
right? So, and that's a whole other thing to get into it another time. Again, so red pulls our attention. So if you've got badges, it's going to pull your attention. There's no
Yeah.
stopping that. There's no stopping that. Now, do you want to make it harder to avoid those red badges, or do you just want to maybe not have the fucking red badges show up in the first place?
Yeah.
I have 0 badges come up for any apps at any time for any reason except text. That's the
Do
one
you
way you
have
can get to me.
what about do you have notifications on?
Yeah, no. So notifications, it depends, right? So it
Oh,
depends. So there are certain things where during my workday or when
mm,
I'm on for something, I will have certain applications talk to me on certain ways. So, like,
mm,
for example, I use Slack a few different ways. I'm on
mm.
other people's groups, I'm in my groups. I know in the tech world, Slack is just gigantic, right? So I am very selective about how Slack gets to talk to me.
Yeah.
Very selective. Out of the probably, I don't know, 50 to 100 channels I could be on at any
Mhm.
moment, two talk to me, and only
Mm.
at certain times.
Mm.
Only at certain times.
Yeah.
So you want to start looking at where can you be the one deciding where
Right.
your attention goes, because badges and notifications, you think, I just want to be on top of things,
Yes.
I just want to make sure I'm getting to it quickly.
Well, I have
No,
FOMO.
you
That's why I don't wanna miss
right.
out on anything.
Right. So you FOMO. So think about it this way. Brendan Burchard does this really well when he talks about email. He's like, your inbox, and I'm going to extend to notifications, badges, banners, whatever. Your inbox, in all the ways, is other people's needs of you. Not
Mhm.
that that isn't important, not that that might not be a big part of your job, but just recognize that is not about you
Yeah.
driving the bus of your life. That is about you being available for others to demand and direct your attention.
This
That's
one hit home.
all that is.
Yeah.
Do not kid yourself that it's about you, your dreams, your mission, your proactive consciousness, or anything that's important to you. In the Covey's time matrix of importance and urgency,
Mm.
the least attended to quadrant and the most vital to you actually
Mm.
having a life you like and achievements that mean something to you is the important, not urgent quadrant. There is not a notification on the planet besides one you set for yourself that's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
There's not a notification, an incoming, inbound communication on the planet that is going to get you farther into the important, not urgent category. Unless
Mm.
you already have like a project in motion, like I want to make a record or I want to make a movie, and now you're in it and you've got team and like somebody pings you and goes, okay, I need to do, but even that is questionable, right? But if you're talking about something that hasn't gotten started or hasn't seen the light of day or isn't out there, isn't already working for you, your
Mhm.
notifications are in the way of that happening, I promise. So that's the first tactical practical, is to be proactively in control of who has access to your attention at any
Right.
given time.
And this
I
is
also
actually just
have
self-care. We're just
so okay.
managing ourselves.
So self-care is a really fun phrase, right? Because self-care, people think it's frivolous, it's superfluous, it's optional, it's massages and, spa days and shit like that. No. When the self-care you're talking about, when you say this comes under the umbrella of self-care, is the self-care of, I would like to have functioning adrenal glands when I'm 40 or
Yes.
50 or 60. I
Love.
would like to have neural pathways that actually allow me to create, to riff, to lean into my own yummy juju and come up with whatever on the spot, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that is the stuff that you want to be flexing and exercising and moving around. That's self-care, care for
Yeah.
the whole self, the self I desire to be. Again, back
Mhm.
to curiosity and desire. Like
Mhm.
if you could just, and maybe we'll leave them with this because I know we're over the hour, but like if you could drop every single obligation and commitment that you have, if you could actually just clear the calendar, the to-do list, just wipe it. You
Yeah.
got nothing that you got to do for anyone at any time. Let's say today. Just today is
Mm.
like done. Anything that was going to happen doesn't need to happen, right? It's Friday, right? It's like I get clear skies, smooth sailing, whatever I want. I can do, think, say whatever I want right now.
Mhm.
What would it be? The point is not that you're going to do it. The point is that you give yourself permission to generate the idea.
Right.
That's self-care.
Mm.
And then you do that like 10, 20, 30 times, then you might actually start to get some ideas you can do something with.
Yeah.
But you got to do it once and then
Love it.
get some data and iterate.
Everyone turn off your phones.
Yeah. Stop watching this
Mine
video right now.
mine is always on do not disturb, and it really, really annoys my husband because he cannot reach me.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotcha.
And he
Exactly.
asked
I'm
me to
on
put him on the exceptions list,
yes.
and then I
And
did.
that's the beauty of, like, the tech parallel developments to the tech that, destroys our humanity, is
Yes.
also there for us to proactively and consciously preserve and curate our humanity. But we've got to
Yes.
proactively and consciously do it. It's not going to happen
Yes.
for us. Yeah.
Well, so I forgot that I added him to my exceptions list, and then his message popped up, and then I looked at it. It's not important. Like, in that moment, it's not, and I was annoyed that I got distracted.
Yep. Yep. Got it. And so, a really beautiful thing that we can do, and this is yet another conversation that's a big conversation, and we won't have time to get into it, but that will happen, right? Our best intentions, our best tools and practices, we will still have a moment of, oh shit, or God damn it, or
Mm,
whatever. And when that happens, another beautiful skill to bring in is the skill of self compassion and
mm,
forgiveness. We think forgiveness is so like dramatic or grand or romantic or what. No, like actually forgiving yourself, maybe forgiving your husband, maybe not, we don't know, but like forgiving in the moment that this happened.
yeah.
Not that it's okay, not that it was great, not even
Mm,
going through the catalog of mistakes or fuck ups that got you there, but that this happened. Okay, I can forgive that this happened. I can accept that this happened, because it's easier to ride the horse in the direction it's going. And now I can course correct. Now I
yeah,
can resume, restart, reset. But if we're still spinning
yeah.
in the anger or the remorse or the regret or the fear or the terror or the failure, right, we're not going to be able to actually move on.
I love it. Thank you so much, Deborah, for your
It's
time. I'm gonna put up the QR code again.
Yes, go grab it. I'm very excited about this training. It's
So you
very
said
juicy.
this is new?
Brand new, brand new. Literally just rolled it out on Wednesday. I haven't even like sent out emails or put it all over my websites and profiles and everything. It is brand new.
Oh
And
my
it's
gosh.
another example of progress over perfection, because of course I have a whole back end structure that's going
Mm,
to be working with this video and bringing you into my community and selling a course and all these nice things, right? But right now, it's just this very bare bones, here's the training, and it gets you on my email list, and you're going to see some stuff, and you can unsubscribe anytime, by the way, right? And please do. Like, if my emails feel like cluttering your inbox, really, honestly, with all the love in the world, get the fuck out.
you don't even send that many emails.
Say what?
You don't send that many
I
emails.
really don't.
We talked about this.
So true. Right? But yeah, so this is progress over perfection, because I want you to have this video, right? I want you to have this training. I want you to have this opportunity. And then we're still rolling out all the stuff that this leads to and is nestled inside of and everything. And that'll be happening over the next couple of months, like by the end of the year. But I didn't want to wait until it was all perfect and ready
Right.
in order to get you something of value. So please grab it. I'll be very
Yes.
happy if you do.
Thank you for modeling all the best practices
Thank
and
you.
putting really easy to understand words to describe what is actually happening.
Thank you
Yeah.
for that. I take that as high praise. That means a lot to me. Thank you, Nancy.
Great. Thank you so much and have a
Yay.
wonderful weekend. And maybe we could do a part 2
I would
sometime.
love it. Yes. All righty,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.